Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the season finale of the Sprint Championship with Club 100 for 2022, where we return to Buckmore Park, where it all started this year. Admittedly, it started in the lightweights at the start of this year, and we made the change halfway through. And so realistically, for this round, there's no real impact on a championship position, but there is some good racing to be had, especially this early in the morning. As you can see, it is very foggy at this Buckmore Park circuit in Chatham in Kent, and it made it quite slippy at the top of the hill. Still quite a lot of foliage on the trees, holding that weather in, whereas the bottom of the circuit by this point is pretty much completely dry. As you see, Chris Alcott there flying through. He started a little bit behind the grid, but got a really good line coming through that first and two hairpins, and then went all the way around the outside, getting that good amount of grip. We went for the inside line around the first hairpin, and there was absolutely no grip whatsoever, just went straight on, couldn't get any power down. So we bit of a bad decision there to start this race, and we've lost out as a result. But you can see here we're able to take the painted parts of the racetrack down in the bottom half, showing that this part is a lot drier than at the top. If we touched any of that red paint up at the top of the circuit, we would not have any grip, that's for sure. So finished the first lap, not the best, but we are sort of spotting that we're able to take this cafe corner pretty quickly, and we slip it up the inside, but we get stuck on the outside, make the conscious choice to stay in there, knowing that the driver to the inside is stuck on the wetter part of the circuit, and we look for a cutback. Now, they're going 3 wide into this hairpin, and I end up being sort of stuck on the inside again, and we're not able to get that drive, same as lap number 1, and we actually lose a position out of that. So from going from a possible double overtake, we've lost a position there going through the first hairpin on lap number 2. Tried to maybe get a better drive coming off hairpin number 2, but nothing doing. We have to slot in and have a bit of a rethink about what's going to be happening in this race. As we skip forward onto the next lap, we can see the drivers in front. They're taking the kind of wet line that you'd normally take in a karting circuit to try and get that grip, but it's not working around the first corner. You are able to keep that tighter line. It was much, much better for you, and we're able to slip it up the inside, but again, just we're not taking that first hairpin properly, and so spending a lot of time here where we could be progressing forwards, ending up taking positions and losing them almost immediately. It's not good enough, and we need to try and sort that out as we go through this race number 1. Again, through the first corner, a little bit of contact from the drivers in front of us, which really opens it up for us. We make that double overtake, and we're trying to get up the inside of Steve Bosley as well as we go into hairpin number 1. He's kind of relinquished that position to us. We're able to get a better line as we come through, but I think he's managed to stick it around our outside, keeping that momentum up, which is good for him, not so good for us, as we had to relinquish that position back as we go through hairpin number 2, and we're now behind Steve, but we have secured that double overtake, which was so difficult for us to secure previously. Getting good rotation in the second hairpin on that sort of newer tarmac, and we're trying to squeeze out the inside of Steve. He's trying to sort of get us out of the move, but we keep our nose in, but there's no harm, there's no foul. He's still in front of us, and we're nice and close as we come down the hill and into the drier section of the circuit. Nothing doing through the paddock corner. We get a good launch off of there. We're going to have a look at the inside of Garda. Nothing doing. Steve is wise to it, and he gets himself into a better position to kind of encourage us to not make that move. So we then look to slip behind him in the slipstream as we go up the hill. And can we make a move going into turn number 1? We might be able to if Steve gets it wrong, which he does. He doesn't make that apex, and we squeeze it up the inside, manage to get the second apex through that corner, and now it's just a case of making sure we get turn number 3, the first hairpin correct, which we do this time, run it all the way to the outside, and that would be how race number 1 finishes as we move on to heat number 2, where we started on pole. For most of the first lap, you can see the fog is cleared away now. For most of the first lap, we kept it in pole. Anwar managed to get it up our inside going into Garda, and you'll see here, not only is Anwar a very, very good driver indeed, and had pace on us for the day, but you can see going up the hill, we're not able to really keep in his slipstream. So there wasn't really much that happened in race number 2. Anwar got past, we were quicker than the cars behind, and we managed to secure P2 in heat number 2. It would have been nice to be able to stick with Anwar a little bit, but he had some fantastic pace on the day, so that's a goal for us next time out, is see if we can be a little bit closer pace-wise with the likes of Anwar and the others. So we move on to heat number 3, where we're starting on row 3 on the pole side of the grid, which has been getting a pretty good launch. Normally it's the other side which gets a better launch, but we're behind Dickie Allen here, another very, very quick driver, always up there with the big boys. So if we can try and stay with Richard there, we'll be up for a good race as we're up into P3 straight away. Going through hairpin number 2, you can see we're taking that normal conventional dry line now as we give Richard, a little tap to help him up the inside, up into P1. Couldn't quite follow him through, and we're stuck on the outside as we go down through Simon's sweep. Still on the outside, but that becomes the inside, which will then become the outside again, going into paddock, and we get a hit from behind and end up having to miss part of the circuit. And we also lose a lot of momentum, which causes us to absolutely tumble down the field. We get forced wide again, and it's all gone wrong. What could have been potentially P2 by the end of lap 1 is now P nowhere at the end of lap 1, and we've got to have a bit of a comeback on the cards now if we want to try and salvage anything from this race and make sure that we get ourselves a decent position in one of the finals to give ourselves the best chance of being in the A final, and then also giving ourselves the opportunity to get a result out of that. So we try and make that move stick around the outside of hairpin number 2. That was not working. We end up having our nose forced wide, which is fine. We were on the outside and we shouldn't really have been there. But we do slip it up the inside of the Science Suite, hold it round the outside as we go into paddock, and eventually secure that move off. But we've gained 1 but lost 1 at the same time. So we're going to have a bit of a rethink about how we're attacking this comeback through the field as we come back up the hill, making sure that we stay in the real tracks of the kart in front, giving ourselves that slipstream as we go up the hill. Bit of better speed through the apex of turn number 1, so we'll keep that in mind should we be behind this driver at the end of the next lap, but we don't want that to be happening. We want to be past this driver by the time we get to the end of the next lap. So we have a look at the inside going into hairpin number 2. We secure that move, but we got Mo Hassan behind us, who gets a really, really good launch and is able to slip it up our inside as we go through the S's off of that hairpin 2. And again, we gained 1 but lost 1. It's not going well during heat number 3, and we're going to need to have a rethink about how we're attacking this circuit. It's all well and good making overtaking moves, but we've got to make them stick, which we're not doing at the moment. Go up the inside, going into paddock, and get run out of space a little bit, and the time. I was not happy at all there. I sort of felt like I'd been sort of forced right into the apex of the corner, but on reflection, I think it's sort of 6 of one, half of the other. Maybe I should have pulled out. Maybe Mo could have given a bit more space, but in the grand scheme of things, nothing bad happened really. We both ended up losing position out of that, so we're both culpable and both lost the position out of it. 2 drivers in front going defensive. That gives us the better run as we come out of Garda, and we're able to go around the outside and we maintain it as we come up the hill. Can we keep it around the outside of Cafe? Yes, we do. We don't get run too wide either. Manage to keep our 2 wheels on the curve. That gives us the inside going into turn number 1. It's dried up enough now as well, which means that we're not at risk of going straight on from being on that inside line. We managed to secure that move, and we're hunting down the driver in front of us now. As you can see, we've also got another pack in front. On that pack in front, we're starting to get mighty feisty. People getting sideways, going through turn 1. And we managed to make a triple overtake as we go through turns 1 and 2, all because of the drivers in front getting a little bit feisty, slowing each other down, getting a bit sideways, and we were just in the right place at the right time to capitalise on that. That felt really sweet at the time, making that triple overtake. And we come on to the last lap now of heat number 3, and we're going to see if we can try and get the inside. Not quite, and we get squeezed to the inside. Driver in front is going to try and come to the inside to defend it, and then comes back across us. We have to get really hard on the brakes there. I think you heard the wheels squeal. Not what you really want to be doing when you're defending. If you've made your 1 move to the inside, swiping back across like that is sort of risking having yourself taken out, because if the driver behind of you has taken that attacking line, you're at risk of end up taking yourself out if you come across their nose. So not the best idea if you're defending to come really hard back across the circuit like that. But in a way, it's worked. He's managed to keep himself in front. We can't quite get the drive coming off the hill, or up the hill rather, and that'll be us staying in position for the end of heat number 3. We managed to make it through to the A final, but maybe not quite as high as we would have liked. So here we are, it's the final A final of 2022 in the heavyweights at Buckmore Park. We're on the outside to start this one. We've been on the inside for a bunch of the heats, and that worked quite well for us, but this time we're on the even side of the grid to probably not going to get the best of starts from what we've been seeing so far. But as we go across the line, we can see Joe Holmes there, who's looking for, I think, his 6th successive title, leading the pack away with Anwar chasing him down. But we're not at the front of the field. We're in P13 at the moment, so we've made 1 place off the start. We keep it a little bit tighter going in towards hairpin 1, and that sort of works for us. And should get it up into P12 and middle of the circuit, going into the second hairpin, trying to make sure that we're not at risk of being attacked from behind. Through the S as we go, as we come up behind Elliot Alt, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the Club 100 pace car driver. So a bit of a change of scenery for him. But we go down the inside there, make 1 and 2 there as Steve Lindley gets forced wide by Kurt Holmes, but I think he went around the outside to try and take the position back. But as we come back down the little hill, which you can't really tell the elevation change there, it's quite a quick descent. As you come down there, we managed to go around the outside and secure P10 to finish the lap. So up 4 positions through lap 1, and now we've got to chase down Kurt Holmes, who we know is quick, and the group in front of us. Now this would be a very interesting race for many a reason, but as we skip ahead onto lap 2, we're just coming round the bottom of the descent after Garda and back up the hill through Cafe. They're lovely live action shots from the Alpha live streams guys who were streaming this one. Absolutely go and watch the live stream of that so that you can get the full scope of this race. It was absolutely fantastic to watch back, and also hear the commentary from the Double Dash Media guys as well. But myself and Kurt, we seem to be pretty even over the last couple of laps, and we're chasing down, I think that's Joe Bailey in front of Kurt, and by the time we get to lap number 5, we've caught up, and Kurt's going to go for an absolutely bonsai move, I think in a moment, going into hairpin 2. It's well, maybe not quite so bonsai in the end. The pretty well judged manoeuvre, and we're going to see if we can follow him through, because we realise that if we want to try and make some good progression in this race, we need to try and stay on the bumper of Kurt in front of us, because seeing as we've caught up with Joe, we know that we can go quicker. So as we come through Paddock Bend, we look up the inside of Garda, slot it up the inside, say thank you very much, and try and get the best release that we can so that we don't lose that slipstream off the kart in front. However, a bit of foreshadowing, the slipstream wouldn't be the most important thing in this race. It would be the championship battle that's happening up in front between Joe and Anwar, because that would really affect the pack, as we will see happening shortly. But this lap we'll watch in its entirety, because this would be our fastest lap of the race, because it worked out pretty much perfectly. We've got the slipstream from Kurt in front, but just enough of a gap to the point where we don't really have to slow down more than we would ever need to going through some of the slower corners. And it would stay the fastest lap for pretty much the entire race until right at the end. So pace was looking good through this last A final of the year. The fog from the morning has completely dissipated now. The circuit is nice and dry pretty much everywhere, still a little bit greasy offline, so you wouldn't want to stray too far from the beaten track. But for now, we cross the line as we set a 47.5 as we cross the line, which would be our fastest lap of the day. And as we come through the 2 hairpins here, we can see not only have we caught up with Kurt now, but we've got Mikey Nichols, who was Kurt's sparring partner in C2 for this season, up in front of us as well. So I think at this point in the race, as we're about to click over onto lap number 8, we're in 4th, I think, maybe 5th in class 2. So still got the opportunity to go forwards, as there's a bonsai move from Kurt on Mikey. It doesn't quite come off for him that time. We have a think about trying to hold it around the outside of hairpin number 2, but that is not a move you want to try and make work. You're always going to end up on the losing end of that battle if you try doing that. So we think better of it and live to fight another day. Coming on to lap number 9 now, and here is the train developing behind Joe, or rather not behind Joe now. It's as Richard Allen made an absolutely amazing move round both Anwar and Joe going into that first turn. So he's now the net race leader, and we managed to slot it up the inside of Mikey, up the inside of Tim Williams as well, as we got Phil Ingram and Kurt going side by side down the hill. That's a battle that is sometimes going to end in tears, but it doesn't this time. It ends in smiles for us, as we're able to go up the inside of Kurt as we go into Paddock Bend, and we go up the inside of Phil as well, but make contact, and we don't want to be doing that, so we wave Feel the Thrill back through, and he gives us the point saying, come on, let's settle down a little bit and catch up with this group in front of us. which we try and do as Kurt was putting up our inside going through Cafe, so we lose a bit of time to fit in front, but we're not too worried about that at the moment because we know we're going to catch up quite quickly with the amount of tactical driving and defending that's happening up in front of us. So I think Joe may well have gotten back into the lead of the race now as he's side by side with Richard Adam in front, slowing them down, allowing us to catch back up, but we still have a little bit of a gap to break down to Phil Ingram before we can think about making a move on anyone that happens to be in front of us. As we come through Paddock Bend, we've got long left to go now. Look how defensive people are in front of us, really stapling it towards the right hand side.
Tim Penny has nothing to lose, and he's given us Jaffa Cake, so that should be fine for him. Dickie Allen still in the lead of this one. This is fantastic stuff here.
Yep, did indeed give a whole massive metre of Jaffa Cakes the Alpha Live boys today, because we needed the best luck and the anti-commentator's curse that we can, and it seems to be working so far as we've got ourselves up into second place in class number 2, but we end up getting...
And look how it's bumped up behind it. Tim Williams and Tim Penny going side by side. Kurt Holmes, as you say, involved in there with Mikey Nichols as well.
Getting a bit sort of pushy and shovey with the guys behind because everyone's going so defensive. It's really slowing people down going into corners. So because you're fighting in such close proximity, there's a fair bit of bumping between front and rear bumpers with each other. So trying to keep it clean is become very, very challenging at this point, but we're doing our best to make sure that we have the fairest race possible, as we're now chasing down Phil still, but Tim Williams has managed to get past both of us and Kurt Holmes as well. Our exit coming through heat hairpin number 2 last time round wasn't the best, as we see Phil going around the outside here, and this is why we didn't want to do it on Kurt a couple of laps ago, because as you can see, Phil gets stuck on the outside there. Anwar getting bumped all over the grass, and Chris Alcock just about manages to keep it round our outside going through the S's to secure that position as we come back down the hill. Chris looking for that move on Tim, and he's going to make it work. A little bit of side rubbing, but with a hop in the seat as he comes back down the hill, he's able to get some better acceleration, hold it round the outside of Tim, who we end up giving a little bit of a tap to see if we can get him alongside and follow him through, but that's not going to happen. So we swap our tactic and go behind Chris this time, get right on to his rear bumper as he goes through turns 1 and 2, and we manage to make that position up on Tim Williams as well. So we're up into P6 and promptly back down into P7. However, Phil feels he didn't make that move fairly on us, so he repays the favour that we tried to give to him a few laps ago and lets us back into P6. So we're currently leading class number 2. No, we're not, sorry. Kurt Holmes is in front of us, and now Mikey Nichols is as well. So we were in P2, now back down to P3 in class number 2, in P7 overall. It's getting pretty feisty between the karts in front. Kurt is slow, we come up behind him, had nowhere to really go because we had Mikey on the inside of us. We end up just sort of trying to give a little bit of a boost to Kurt as we go up the hill, making sure that neither of us end up to slow down more than we have to. P number 7 as we're coming into lap 14, penultimate lap of this race. We're going to see what we can do. Is a win on the cards, or are we going to be stuck behind these two battling C2 opponents? Kurt puts it at the inside of Mikey through hairpin number 2, gets that move done clean, and he's trying to chase down the pack in front, see if he can progress himself further up. I wasn't sure if I was aware at this point, I can't remember if I'm perfectly honest, but it turns out that Kurt had a penalty or 2 in this race, so we're actually in net P2 for class 2, but I don't think I knew this at the time, so I was still assuming that I was in P3 overall and trying to get up into P2, but to do that we have to get past Mikey Nichols, who is no slouch in the Club 100 car. We move on to the last lap and we're in P7. We need to try and get up into P5 overall if we want this race win, as the karts right in front of us are getting very, very fighty, really slowing each other down. As we go up into hairpin number 2, Kurt gets stuck to the outside. That's going to be bad for him. We manage to sneak it up the inside of Mikey, and it's a drag race now towards the S's. We just about win that, and we snuck it up the inside, going through the left-hander and the right-hander. That secures us position into P5, and all we've got to do now is keep it tight and clean going through paddock corner. We do that, staple it over towards the right-hand side, follow Chris Alcock's example in front of us as we defend going into Garda. A look ahead sees Joe knock his head back in a little bit of frustration as he sees Anwar behind him done what he'd do to win the championship overall.
Since 2015,
Huge congratulations to
Anwar
Anwar.
Barul Smith wins a top division Club 100 Sprints champion. The reign of Holmes is over.
So massive congratulations to Anwar. We managed to come across the line on the road Class 2 winner as well, even with the penalties that were going around us. And this was a sort of an extra special one because my old man managed to come along to this. And as we got onto the podium, he was my mechanic all the way through our owner-driver days, and it was nice to have him there to share in the excitement and the enjoyment of getting a win. And there we are, Tim Williams and Mikey Nichols alongside us on the podium. Me and my dad in the van afterwards, having a bit of a laugh and a chin wag. But until next season, thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite.